Hello everyone, I'm Dominik Buchik from ELIXIR Check, and I will guide you through the two main topics of this webinar, the non-web authentication and then the provisioning and deprovisioning. So we will start with the non-web authentication, but before we will actually start, I'd like to show you a short video. Hopefully you can see it and add some comments. This is the thing that we will actually do in the hands-on session. You will learn how you can connect external service to the ELIXIR AAI, and we will be connecting service that allows users to authenticate to the remote machine via SSH with making use of device code flow of the OpenID Connect protocol. So basically, the whole authentication is based on steps that user will SSH, then it will point the user from the link or via scanning the QR code to the ELIXIR AAI. There, the user authenticates with the home organization or some kind of social identity provider like Google or LinkedIn, and it results in the user gaining access to that machine to the specified user. So let's wait for the video to finish. This was the authentication part, and now you will see that the user will actually get the access to that machine. Okay, so let's get to the presentation then. I just need to move this thing a bit. Okay. So, what will be this presentation about? First, we will introduce or remind you the OpenID Connect protocol. Then we will take a look at the non-web authentication, more specifically on the device code flow. And I will also show you the behind the scenes, what is going on, and then I will explain you how you can try out the functionality yourself in the hands-on at the end of the meeting. So let's get started with the actual uh, introduction. Uh, I suppose, as this is an advanced functionality training, many of you have already connected some service to the ELIXIR AI, so I will not go into the details of the OpenID Connect protocol. Just to remind you, OpenID Connect is an extension of the OAuth 2. OAuth 2 is an authorization protocol in which user owning some resource on a resource server delegates for an application to use the resource. To make this description more clear, let's imagine that I'm the user. The resource server is Google, and it owns or hosts my calendar. There is an application at my smartphone that actually wants to write or read data from that calendar. And by using this protocol, I can allow this application to access those data. So for the OpenID Connect protocol, as I've already mentioned, is just an extension of the OAuth 2, and it adds the authentication layer and describes a common API for fetching the user information. Many of you are familiar with the SAML2 protocol, so OpenID Connect is similar to this one, and there are just some slight differences. And the OpenID Connect is currently the preferred one because of several reasons, like there is no need to exchange metadata between the identity provider and the service provider, your actual service. Also, OpenID Connect allows users to specify what data the application will receive. And the most importantly, the applications that are connected via this protocol don't have to be web only. You can connect also mobile apps, command line, smart devices, and stuff like that. Now the web authentication. Why we need it? We have several types of applications in the OpenID Connect protocol. For example, server-side apps, they use the authorization code flow of the protocol. Uh, Applications running in the browser, they use another flow, the implicit flow, or currently it's being more preferred to use so-called PXE flow. And we also want to connect some devices with limited input, for example, smart TV that doesn't have keyboard. What will we do about that? OpenID Connect provides us with a tool called, or the flow device code flow, and we can use that. So just a brief description of the flow. It's used mainly by browserless or input constrained devices like smart TVs or the command line tools. Usually it uses some other device for the authentication. Uh, the authentication is initiated by scanning the QR code or visiting some specific link and inputting some code. So this is how the flow looks like. Uh, it basically is done in 4 steps. The first step, the application will request some kind of code from the authorization server. When it will receive it back, it will show the user or redirect the user to the authentication page. And when the user authenticates, it will poll the server for response if the authentication was successful or not. If it was successful, the user will gain access to the service and he or she can use it. If you want to show somebody or just again watch the video that I showed at the beginning of my presentation, you can find it under the link on the ELIXIR YouTube account. And now behind the scenes. Uh, First, the service needs to make the request to the OpenID Connect server that, yeah, I'm starting the flow. I want some user to authenticate. So it will make the post request to a specific endpoint that is designed only for the device code flow, and it will pass some kind of credential, in this case, identifier of the client. Then the OpenID server will issue a response to that service with the code that it asked for. It will also provide a code for the authentication itself, so user can put that to verify that this initiated authentication is the one that I want to use. And it also provides a URL or uh, the whole link where the user can authenticate. And to preserve some kind of sanity, it also sets up the expiration of this code. So the second part, now we have redirected the user to the authentication website. Then when the user gets back to the service, or in the meantime, the service polls the OpenID Connect server for a response. And when the authentication is performed successfully, it will receive response in some kind of JSON message, giving the actual access token, which is used for fetching the data. As this service might want to periodically authenticate the user, but without need or asking the user to interact somehow, it will also receive a refresh token that can be used for fetching another access token after or before the access token expires. So now the hands-on part. What we'll be doing, we'll be setting up root access to a remote machine. That might be needed in some cases. It doesn't have to be root in all cases, but let's say you want to let the user authenticate to a remote machine. We will be using the mentioned device code flow. We will make use of the ELIXIR AAI, and we will also use a PEM module developed by our colleagues in or at Institute of Computer Science at Masaryk University. So what should we do? First, after logging into the provided virtual machines, you need to install the dependencies. Uh, then you will download the PEM module and build it and copy it to the lib security folder. You can basically just copy and paste these commands and it will do all of the things for you. So we've now built the PEM module. We need to configure it, but before we can start configure it, we need to know the username that the user will come with. As you will be making this authentication, you can get your username at the profile page of the ELIXIR AI, which is linked from the slides. After logging in that service, you will see a field called ELIXIR username and the actual value. Please copy it somewhere. You will need it in the configuration. So we have the user. Let's create the configuration file. Just again, copy paste those commands into the command line and it will open you a text editor where we will put the configuration itself. And it looks like this. It's just some JSON and you need to fill only three things. The identifier of the service, the client ID, some secret value that should be protected by the client, and then your username as to specify who will be actually getting access to the accounts on that machine, to the root and the user that you are using for the first login and setting up the configuration. You can find the client ID and client secret in the spreadsheet machine, in the spreadsheet with the virtual machines. So that was the configuration of the PEM module. Then we just need to modify the configuration of the SSH service. You will have to comment out probably somewhere on around third line, include common auth. This way we will disable all of the common authentication mechanisms, and we will specify our own via that module we have just configured. Then we need to modify configuration of the SSH service, what kind of authentications or how we can log into that remote machine. So just again, copy paste those 6 configuration options into the file etc sshd config. And just to warn you, you can see we are setting up challenge response authentication to yes. And in the default configuration around somewhere around line 61, it's already set up to no. So please comment that one out, or you can even delete it. So we have all things configured. Now we just need to restart the SSH service. I'd like also to point out, please do not close the session you have already opened, because if you have configured something wrong, you will not get access to that machine anymore. And then you just need to test it. So you will issue the SSH command. You can access the root account, and just in the command, please replace the port with the port that you are using for connecting to the machine for the first time. It's in the spreadsheet. After issuing this command, you should see in your command line something like this. So you can use your smartphone to scan the code and authenticate, or if you want to use it in browser, just click the link and authorize the flow. After you've done that, just return back to the command line, hit enter, and you should be um, logged in as root, or if you specify some other user as that one. Okay, that was all for the authentication for the non-web access.